us now is Republican Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee for our weekly check-in. I want to talk about policy and what happens in 9 days in a moment, but I do want to start as a Republican, as a member of your party, regardless of how you feel about the issue. Do you feel like this is a losing issue for Republicans on abortion?
Well, if we couch it right, I don't think it is. It's a states' rights issue, and this is exactly what throwing Roe v. Wade out actually did. It threw it back to the states. So at some point, it's going to balance out, as most of these issues usually do.
Well, I mean, I think Glenn Youngkin would say it didn't work out great for Virginian Republicans last night.
Sure. Well, Virginia, of course, is so close to our nation's capital. I mean, if you take out all the government employees and lobbyists that you would have up there, and members of the national media, I would say that probably you'd have a pretty conservative state. But other than those folks, you don't. So that's kind of the way it is up there.
Kind of teed you up for that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you really did. Hey, but I did want to say, I wanted to lead off with it's Wednesday, and there's two things. I'm going to be on this dadgum show, and the good folks in Tennessee are going to go to prayer meeting tonight, where they usually get a good meal. So. That's
everyone is going to enjoy their time at both places, Congressman. I do want to ask you about what happens in 9 days. Now, I think I was struck this morning thinking 9 days until a government shutdown. House Republicans' plan, as it stands, at least as far as I understand it this morning, is considered dead on arrival in the Senate. The president opposes it. You just pulled an full-year appropriations bill last night because it didn't have the votes. And there doesn't seem to be a path forward right now. What is actually different from the last time we did this with Kevin McCarthy?
Well, actually, the leadership is listening to the membership, and that's why there's going to be several options for us. There's my friends in the Freedom Caucus. I'm often confused with being a member. I told Jim Jordan one time, "You get me for free," and he said, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "Well, I vote just as conservative as your members, and I don't get a chicken dinner every week out of your club." So, and he laughed about that. But the truth is that we do have several options, and one of those is a laddered approach, which will go along a series of votes and taking this to the point of where we will pass all the 12 appropriations amendments. But the key thing you got to realize is that we're trying to get to is to pass a dadgum budget. Jody Arrington chairs the Budget Committee. And, man, I'm telling you, this country is hungry for that. It's 30 years since we passed a budget. As you well know, and as I've stated, that our credit's been knocked down. This is only the second time in the history of this country, and it's both parties. It's been over a 30-year period, and the two reasons are leadership and our fiscal responsibility, which we have none of. Last night, there were several amendments on the floor that would have saved millions of dollars, yet no one had the guts in either party apparently to pass them. I voted for all of them, but obviously they didn't pass. And so we've got to figure out, are we going to raise taxes? Are we going to cut spending? We're not going to tax ourselves into prosperity.
Right.
We're $33 trillion in debt, and I know you've seen it, but just this week we passed the $1 trillion a year in interest on our loans alone. So we've got to get control of this thing. We ran up $1 trillion in 3 months this year.
Yeah, there's no question there are fiscal issues right now. There is a question about whether or not you can keep the government open to actually pass that budget. The good news is 7 days from now, you'll still have 2 days until a shutdown, and you'll be back on this dadgum show, and we can walk through what the options are. Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. I hope to be back next Wednesday, brother.